Burning passion is super fun and exciting, and that's why we always see that type of love in the movies, but it's also all-consuming and totally exhausting. Too hot of a flame burns itself out, so opt for the tamer, reliable glow of love and admiration if you don't want to accidentally light yourself and your relationship on fire. Hey guys, welcome to the Get and Stay Hitched podcast. I'm Cameron Reckenmacher, a relationship therapist and the founder of HITCHED, the first ever marriage-focused, values-based dating app with relationship coaching. So in my last video, I talked about some really awful dating advice that I think is making it a lot harder for us to get into healthy long-term relationships. If you missed my previous video, I'll put a link to that in the description below so that you can check it out. The crappy but common dating rules I talked about in that video were: number 1, living together without an explicit intention and timeline for getting married. Number 2, exploring our sexual preferences before getting married. Number 3, practicing dating to get better at it. Okay, so how should we actually be dating if our eventual goal is marriage? I hear from a lot of people that one of their biggest frustrations when they're dating is that they don't know how to find the type of person that they could build a successful marriage with. If that's where you're at, I want to share my 4-step formula for finding the love of your life as efficiently as possible. Because let's face it, when you're ready to be in a serious relationship, going on a bunch of dates with total strangers is not as fun as finally finding that person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Okay, so let's dive into my Find Your Spouse formula. The 4 steps of this formula are: number 1, become the right person. Number 2, use the right search criteria. Number 3, look in the right places. And number 4, date the right way. So number 1, become the right person. I talked about this topic in depth in a previous podcast, so I'll include that link in the description below if you want to watch it. This is such a huge problem in dating because people believe that all we need to do is find this person who's right for us, and then we'll be so compatible that a healthy and happy long-term relationship will be the default. But this is unfortunately not true. Relationships require so much work, and that starts even before we meet our partner. We have to work on ourselves to be attractive to the people who meet our own standards. A relationship, after all, requires mutual attraction. So if we want our future spouse to be someone who lives up to our standards, we should expect that they'll have similar standards for us that we should live up to. So we have to ask ourselves really honestly, do I meet the standards of the person who meets my standards? Are you financially stable? Are you healthy and in good shape? Do you take care of your mental health? Do you have a good relationship with your family and friends? Do you have any addictions like drugs, alcohol, social media, shopping, video games that are ruining your productivity? By improving ourselves, we're going to be more attracted to the people that we're actually interested in. Number 2, use the right search criteria. So imagine going on Amazon's website to find some new headphones, but you type in toilet paper into the search bar. It's going to be a waste of your time, and it's going to be super frustrating when Amazon doesn't turn up any of the search results you want for a new pair of headphones. It sounds really silly in this scenario, but people do this all the time in their dating lives. If you want to be in a serious relationship, you need to use different search criteria than if you're looking for something short-term. For example, if you're looking for a long-term partner, do search based on compatibility and core values, especially commitment, fidelity, family plans, religion, and politics. These are really the fundamental values that support successful marriages. Finding values alignment is crucial if you want to stay with someone for life. As things like our physical beauty fade over time, we're left with our personalities and our worldviews. If your worldview doesn't align with the person you're dating, it means you're not only going to have less of a foundation to build a lasting marriage on, but you're also asking for a lot more conflict that oftentimes doesn't have any real solutions. Don't search based on attractiveness. Of course, you want to be attracted to the person that you're dating, at least to some degree, since sex and physical intimacy are a huge part of marriage. But hotter is not always better. Again, looks fade over time, and it actually happens faster than you might think. After a few years with the same person, we get used to each other's appearance, and that burning passion that your relationship started with turns into a steady glow of real love. And that's a really good thing. Burning passion is super fun and exciting, and that's why we always see that type of love in the movies, but it's also all-consuming and totally exhausting. Too hot of a flame burns itself out. So opt for the tamer, reliable glow of love and admiration if you don't want to accidentally light yourself and your relationship on fire. Do search based on life goals. This one is so huge. If your future goals are incompatible with the person that you're dating, one of you is going to have to make some real sacrifices that might breed resentment over time. For example, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, but your boyfriend wants to work for the Peace Corps, you guys might really struggle to do both of those things and stay afloat financially. Or if you and your girlfriend both want to live where you guys grew up, but you were raised on the East Coast and she was raised on the West Coast, which one of you has to give up that dream? Obviously, relationships require a lot of sacrifice and the blending of two wills, but some dreams and life goals are so big that you shouldn't sacrifice them to be with someone. Don't search based on how desired they seem to be by other people. This is actually one of my favorites because I see this all the time. All of us, men and women, have this habit of finding people more attractive if other people are into them. It's a status thing, probably, but I'm sure to some degree we've also evolved to view people who are desired by others as more desirable. But if that hot girl at the bar that all the guys are hitting on is totally misaligned with your values, life goals, and qualities you're looking for in a wife, chances are she's not the hot girl for you. Do search based on interest in marriage. If you're watching this video, chances are you want to get married one day. So how silly would it be if you were dating someone who didn't share that goal? But you'd be surprised how many people don't talk about marriage until many months or even years into a relationship and tragically find out that they're not on the same page about this major life decision. And that's the key. You have to actually ask the person you're dating if one of their life goals is to get married one day. And don't worry about scaring them away with that question. If you do, it means that they weren't ready for real commitment anyway, and it probably would have been a waste of your time to try to get them ready for that commitment. Don't search based on how fun they are. This is another big one. Just because someone's fun doesn't mean they're a good fit for you in the long run. Yes, you really want to enjoy the time that you spend with someone if you're going to date them seriously and eventually get married to them. But what you're going to need in a spouse is a lot different than what you need in a 2-month relationship, for example. Fun doesn't pay the bills. Fun doesn't take care of the kids, it doesn't keep the lawn mowed, and it doesn't help you do things like plan your parents' funerals. Basically, fun only goes so far, then real character has to take over. So instead of searching for someone who's just fun, search for someone you can have fun with and laugh with even after a bad day or a bad fight. When the going gets tough, how does your partner react? That's really huge. Do search based on if you can admire the life they're leading. This might be my favorite one. Do you respect the person you're dating? Are you proud to be with them? Whoever you end up with needs to be striving to make a life for themselves independent of you. Otherwise, if you're trying to drag them along with you because they don't have the motivation to make something of themselves on their own, then you're going to be stuck caring for them like they're another one of your kids one day. And it's really hard to raise your actual kids when you're trying to raise your spouse too. Don't search based on money. Yeah, you need enough money to survive, but after your expenses are paid and you're not drowning in debt or you're barely making it in between paychecks, your happiness isn't really influenced much by how much money you have past that cutoff or even the sort of lifestyle that you can afford. After a while, oftentimes about a year, we get used to whatever lifestyle we're living and our happiness will return to whatever it was before we bought that nice car or moved into a new house or upgraded our wardrobe. Even people who win the lottery aren't happier about a year after winning than they were before they won. Do search based on if they make you a better person. This one's also huge. Honestly, all of them are big. That's why they're on the list. You want the person you're with to make you better than you are right now. That's one of the biggest reasons to get married. Marriage is really hard, but the struggles of maintaining a healthy, lifelong relationship make us much better people. Think about it. When you get married, you can't live for just you anymore. Your spouse needs you, and if you're going to make things work, you'll have to improve the things about yourself that make you less than an ideal spouse. And we all have those things. So think about the kind of person you are when you're with the person you're dating. Do you like that version of yourself? Is that a version of yourself that you'd be proud to share with your friends and family? Is that a version of yourself that would be a good parent one day? Don't search based on height. Ladies, this one's for you. I know a lot of women like to feel like their boyfriend or husband can protect them. Honestly, I totally get it. That's completely fine. And a lot of women I know even admit that they like feeling small compared to whoever they're dating. But please don't have some arbitrary cutoff of height when you're looking for a guy. That's probably one of the worst things dating apps have done for modern dating is enforce this idea that we need to date a guy who's over 6 feet tall. If you aren't in that less than 1% of women in the US who's over 6 feet tall, and you won't date a man if he's under 6 feet tall, you're automatically eliminating 84% of all men in this country on something that's pretty arbitrary. That's totally insane. Dating is really hard as it is. Why in the world would we make it that much harder for ourselves? So this is a really important takeaway here. The qualities that make for a fun person to date right now are often not the same qualities that make a great spouse. Life is really hard, and it often only gets harder with more responsibilities and more loss is experienced as we age. So make sure you're picking someone who's going to bravely face those hardships with you. Here's a good question to ask yourself while you're dating. What traits in someone else would be complementary with my own so that together we could build a joyful and productive home for the rest of our lives together? Number 3, look in the right places. I have heard so many people talk about how hard it is to meet people these days, especially if you don't want to meet on a dating app. And if you're sick of the apps, honestly, I don't blame you. There are other ways to meet people who may be a good match for you. First off, you could join volunteer organizations that share your values. If you're super passionate about some social cause or a certain charity, if you start doing some volunteer work with them, there's a good chance that you'll be able to meet people who not only share your values, but have similar passions to you as well. Next, you can go to church. Honestly, this could work even if you're not religious. People who regularly attend church tend to have pretty good morals. Obviously, there are some exceptions and some pretty bad ones at that. But on average, you're going to find good people if you go to church. You can also look on Meetup and Facebook for groups of people who are doing stuff that you like. That way, if you have any hobbies that you enjoy, instead of doing them alone, you can do them with other people and meet new people in the process. One of my clients, for example, had a dog, and he actually met his girlfriend through a Meetup dog walking group. It was honestly super sweet. You want to go into these groups with the intention to make friends, though, instead of finding someone to date, because chances are if the group is small, you may not find your future other half in that group, but you could meet them through someone in the group who you end up becoming friends with. Honestly, dating is kind of like a job in this way because networking can be super helpful. You can even ask your trusted friends and family to keep an eye out for a good match for you. This would be the equivalent of tapping into your existing network if you were looking for a new job or business connections. Obviously, this is actually how dating and marriage worked for a long time and still works in other cultures. A lot of great marriages are arranged marriages, but in this case, you have the advantage of getting to say no to your family's suggestions. Now, moving on to number 4. Date the right way. So here are some good dating habits that you can use to replace that horrible dating advice that I talked about in the last video. First, get to know the person you're dating really well before investing a lot emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually. That doesn't mean that you have to date someone for multiple years, but it does mean that you have to have a lot of intentional conversations about your values and your life goals and what you want out of a relationship. Next, maintain your relationships with your friends and family while you're dating someone. If you don't have good relationships with other people, improve them even while you're dating. Not only will this make you less dependent on the person you're dating and thus less likely to be mistreated, that's a really important point. Your loved ones can also help make sure that you're not overlooking red flags or letting your partner disrespect you. Next, be selective in who you choose to give your heart to, but once you've chosen, really commit to making things work. This can be really hard because commitment is often super scary. But if you go into a relationship always having one foot out the door or having some escape plan, it means that you're not going to give your full self to the relationship, and whoever you're dating is going to be able to feel that. And that's going to make it really hard to stay with that person for the rest of your life, no matter how bad you might want it. And last, do everything you can to be the best partner you can be on a daily basis, before and after you meet someone. What are you doing right now to become a great partner for whoever you end up dating in the future? Then, when you meet your partner, what are you doing every day to keep them? Thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope it was helpful. As a reminder, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to hear more about all things dating, relationships, and trends in American family life. Over time. Damn it.